Hello and welcome to the Property Roundup on iPropertyRadio with myself, Carol Tallon, the show where we chat to industry experts to get a view on trends emerging across the property industry. And this show is brought to you in partnership with Property District, your industry communications partner. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Roisin Cahill, CEO of Emerald Sage Property Buying Consultants. And Roisin and her team at Emerald Sage help people buy property in the Republic of Ireland when they're located outside of the Republic of Ireland. Roisin, you're very welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be on today, Carol.
No, I'm absolutely delighted to chat to you. As I mentioned to you before we came on air, I'm a huge proponent of buyers agents and buyers having independent representation. I have been for decades. I'd love to see a buyer's agent in every town in Ireland because I genuinely think it's what's needed. So look, I'm delighted to welcome you into the industry and into this sector and onto the show today. So Roisin, you might just tell us a little bit about yourself. Have you a background in property?
I do. I suppose my main professional career, I built a 20-year career in healthcare. But on the side, I was always interested in property, and I had gotten into renovations on the side. I was project managing, designing, just coordinating renovations. And I just took the plunge in 2022 and said I'd go full time into property. And here I am as a property buying consultant, helping people from anywhere in the world to buy property in Ireland, those in Ireland and those outside of Ireland.
Very good. So tell us a little bit about your clients. Who are you working? And I appreciate it's early days, but even in terms of inquiries and who you're helping at the moment, who would be a typical client for you?
Okay, so I suppose the obvious ones are the Irish expats. Those are the people who are living abroad, hoping to return home themselves soon or sometime in the future, and they may rent out a property for a couple of years. What a lot of people don't realise that are living abroad is that you can actually get a mortgage based on your salary abroad, and you can move home to Ireland. There are 2 companies in Ireland doing that, EBS and Haven, and they do require a larger deposit. But I suppose if you get yourself organised and you get your ducks in a row and put your head down, you can just know that I have to save X amount more. The problem with waiting until you come home is that you have to come home, you have to find yourself a job, you have to pass the probation in that job. Then you have to get your mortgage approval only after you've passed your probation. And if, depending on your sector, it could be 6 or 12 months. Then after you get your probation letter, you have to find a house and then the sale has to close. So if you don't buy your house before you come to Ireland, you're looking at a minimum of 12 months before you get a house. And we all know how difficult it is to get rentals. People are coming home and living with family members, which is great for a short period. But if it's going to extend for any length of time, it can make that settling in period back into Ireland very difficult if you don't have a home. Now, obviously, not everyone is in a position to buy. Those that are very lucky, but those who can buy from their positions abroad, they're the ones that should be looking to try and buy before they come home and have something to come in, even if it's not their forever home. Just at least it's something.
The rental marketplace has really changed the dynamic for people returning home, because before it would be so easy to rent somewhere for 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you would assume you would find something easy enough. You assume it would have been cheaper than starting paying your mortgage. You would have assumed in the past you would have automatically been able to get childcare places and local schools, and just all of that has changed over the past decade. You just can't take it for granted. But one of the things I suppose I'm very aware of, people who are outside of Ireland looking at returning home, they generally have a very set location in mind. So are you finding, are people targeting kind of very specific areas?
Not really. Like, you'll find some people are saying, I want to move close to my family or close to my hometown, but I'm happy to be outside. Some people are unfortunately dictated by their budget. So anybody who may have grown up in like Dublin 4 or Dublin 6 may not be in a position to buy into Dublin 4 and Dublin 6 at the moment. So people are quite flexible on where they're willing to return to. I suppose what I try and concentrate on is what is it that from your lifestyle, is the property going to meet your lifestyle? If you like to be in the countryside, you don't want to be in the middle of, say, the Beaconside Quarter, because it's very built up and there's a lot of people around and there's a lot of restaurants and shops. That mightn't be your thing. Or maybe it is, and you'd absolutely die if you had to go to Carlow. So you always have to match the person's lifestyle and budget, and then try and find something that meets enough of their wish list.
Very good. So tell me, where has your searches over the last number of months brought you?
I've been all over sort of the Midlands, the Northwest, the North, Dublin.
Okay, and nobody's heading over to the West Coast or down south?
Nobody's bringing me to Cork and Kerry yet, but I'm trying. I have a client at the moment. I was trying to convince them about a property in Cork, hoping to get a jaunt out to West Cork out of it. But, that's the exciting thing, that you're going to look at these properties and then you're getting to explore parts of Ireland that you may or may not have explored before. And then because you want to get a feel for the area, you're talking to the locals and you're going into the shop and you're saying, what's this? What's that part of the town like? And you're kind of learning new things about Ireland all the time, which I quite enjoy.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. And obviously tools and technology have really progressed to the point where there's nothing to stop people getting a fairly thorough experience of the home before they come back and set foot in Ireland. And actually, I think it's much more important. I've always held the view that the location is so much more important than the house, or the apartment or whatever it is. A lot of that can be changed, but the location can't ever be changed.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
How are you sharing this information in a way that people don't feel like they're being shortchanged, not being able to walk through the property?
So I always offer a video call during the property. So if that's what they want. Many people actually prefer just to get videos, and they're like, I won't remember it, please send me videos. So some agents are actually doing this new, they bring the camera and you can virtually walk through the house. A lot of the clients absolutely love that, but not every estate agent has those facilities, or they're only doing them for specific homes, so they think they'll get a better price if they use the virtual.
Do you mean like a Matterport virtual?
That's right.
Tour,
yeah.
Okay. Well, actually, then this is a really good call out to estate agents who aren't providing that actually buyers really like it. And I don't think that's just true of buyers who are outside of Ireland. I think that's true of buyers sitting at home on their sofa, 5, 10, 20 kilometers from the property, and they're trying to decide, do they want to view this or not? I think the VR tours are such a useful thing. So we'd love to see more estate agents use those.
Absolutely. And the other thing that some of them are doing it, and I think more of them are doing it now, is the videos of the surrounds of the house. So what I'll do is I'll take, say if it's an estate, I'll drive through the estate and I'll take video. I have it parked on my dashboard and I'll just set the video going, and they can drive through the estate with me, because you could have the most magnificent house opposite to a factory, or so you have to, it's not just the house, it's what's right and left, front and back. Or there was a beautiful house that a client of mine was looking at. She's like, I love this one. And I said, yeah, but do you see the area? When we looked on Google Earth, we could see that big, massive satellite aerial for, I don't know, electricity or something behind the house. So I was like, is that something you want in your viewpoint from your kitchen window? And she was like, oh, no. So I think those are the things that you can't see from an ad on My Home or Daft. You have to be there in person, or if you're in Australia, it doesn't make sense to come home twice. When I was abroad, I was working abroad and I came home buying a house. I came home 3 times. Now, I was very lucky in that there was direct flights from where I was, and I had somebody who had put me on a buddy pass, and I got cheap flights. But if you're not in that position, in that lucky position that I was, it's just a huge extra cost. So if you can have WhatsApps with me, emails, Zoom calls, video calls, it just takes away a huge portion of the waste of time, because you could go see 20, 30 properties before you find your right one.
Yeah.
So let me waste my time. Well, it's not waste. I don't consider it a waste of time, but it's me giving you your time back.
Well, and again, I would assume that they're paying for your time. So how does the fee structure work for buyers?
So it's up to 500,000. It's a percentage of the purchase price, and then after 500, it's staged depending on the cost of the property. And so what you're paying for is my time and my expertise. So I'll do cost analysis of the area, of how other houses that have sold in the area in the last 1 or 2 years. What were they selling for in the bust times? What were they selling for in 2010, 11? A lot of that information, thankfully, is now available to us, which is just a fantastic initiative. That it's just more transparent what people were paying for their houses. I will do a comparison. If they're torn between 3-4 houses, I'll do a comparison. Go, this one is 20 minutes from the school. This one is 10 minutes from the school, but it's further away from the supermarket, or it's further away from your bus to work, or, so we'll just make it very objective as we can, because for a buyer who's in the thick of it and it's their family home and they just really want to get somewhere amazing, you can sometimes forget your wish list, and you can be so exhausted by the process that you're like, I'll just take that one. That one has, I can afford that one. I'll take that one. I remember a client of mine, she was getting tired, and she had been looking, before she had come to me, she had been looking herself for a long time. So she was already fatigued by the time I met her. And sort of 4 weeks in, she's like, oh, Roisin, I'm just going to buy this one. Now, she was a remote worker, so she didn't need to be in a particular town. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And we had a call, and I brought her back to her wish list. And she said, okay, let's go back to what we talked about in the beginning. And 2 weeks later, we found her something. So it's about keeping people on track, being their eyes and their ears and their advocates, because the person who's showing you the house, they're trying to sell you something. They're trying to sell you this amazing 3-bed house with a shed that's attached that needs to be knocked down, and that'll be lovely now, and it's knocked down, and you're like, yes, it will be lovely, but it could cost 15,000 or 20,000, and whereas there might be another equally good house down there that doesn't need the shed knocked down, and that's where you're the objective eyes for the buyer.
Look, I think being the eyes and ears is useful, and that's supported by tools. I think the far more important thing here is being their advocate, because buyers traditionally are not represented in the transaction, which never made sense to me, given they're the people with the least experience. So the profile of buyers who you're helping at the moment, would most of them be first-time buyers, or would they be selling properties where they're living at the moment and retiring back here?
So it's a mixture, actually. So some are first-time buyers. I have quite a few clients who are not Irish, but living and working here and want to settle here for the foreseeable future. Mm-hmm. So when you're not from the country and you don't have your dad and your mum and your Auntie Mary to show you which is a good house or which is a good area, you're very much in Ireland all on your own. Now, there are other people like me doing this, so nobody's on their own, but it's just, the clients that I've met, oh God, I didn't know I could do this in Ireland. And I was at the property show in the RDS at the end of February, and I met a lovely American woman. She nearly hugged me. She said, oh my God, you're the first person I've heard of in Ireland that's doing this job. But if I was doing this, if I was buying a home in America, I could have my pick of people to choose from, and that was quite reassuring to hear, but also it was so interesting, and she was young, like I don't think she was even 30. So it's something that Irish young people don't even know they can get help, and they're so lost out there, and it's such a hard market at the moment.
Look, we'd love to see as many home buyer supports, not just first time buyer, but home buyer supports coming in, and part of that is some sort of independent representation. But the difficulty is that that's something that has to be paid, and home buyers are so stretched that it's just, I would imagine for the vast majority of people, it's just not within their budget, because they're thinking, well, actually, if that's $5,000 or $8,000 or $10,000 or whatever it is that I pay, then that's coming off my budget that I'll be able to spend either buying the house or dealing with the legal fees or kitting out the house when we get in. So is that resistance you're coming up against?
It is. And I suppose it's a fact that you have to pay a fee for this service. But what I always say to the clients and the customers is, there's a very, 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 I can't 100% guarantee it, but it's a very high chance that I will get you much, much better value for your money. Say, for instance, I had a client looking for a 3-bed, 2-bath, and we found her a 4-bed, 3-bath for her budget. So while you
in the same area,
so while you may spend a little bit, what my aim is that you get the best value for your budget. Not that you're getting, that house is 500,000. I'm going to find you a house that's 500,000. I'm going to find you the house that's the best 500,000 house there is in Ireland, or in that specific area that you want.
Yeah, look, I think it's very compelling. And in fact, it feels like a solvable problem whereby mortgage companies give gifts and incentives to mortgage holders and to intending home buyers. in much the same way as we used to have a first-time buyer grant, that actually if there could be a grant available for buyers to seek representation and buy well, so that the money being spent, and you would imagine actually from the mortgage company's point of view, this would be a good thing as well, because they're not spending more than they should be, or they're getting more property for their budget, which has to be the most important thing. Roisin, I have any Ireland-based or locally based buyers reached out to you?
Yes, yeah. So I've had business owners actually that were looking, small to medium business enterprise owners looking to invest some profits, and their accountant has advised them that property might be an area that, and so they've come to me. They were looking themselves and had a couple of things fall through, so they've come to me, and we're very close to finding them the right thing. And
are they looking to do this through their pension?
No, I think it's I'm not 100% sure of the accountancy, but it's not through their pension.
Okay, very good. So I suppose before we finish up today, what's the message that you'd like to get out to buyers who are just so frustrated at the moment? I mean, we're in terms of our recent interviewees on the show here, we've spoken with a couple of home buyers who have talked about their journey, or hopeful home buyers who have talked about their journey. And it is not even unusual for people to be looking for 4 years now. They're so frustrated, and the frustration definitely peaks if people are either self-employed or if they're single. So they seem to be the two most difficult categories for first-time buyers. Not to mention if you throw a self-build into the mix there.
Yeah.
But just, what kind of guidance can you give to home buyers? Are there techniques that would help them in the marketplace at the moment?
I think the best thing you can do is think outside the box. I suppose when I was first entering the property market personally, I was young, and I was so insistent on having a house. I needed a house, I needed a house, I needed a house. And I just kept getting outbid on the house. So I went back to the drawing board, and I just said, what else could I live with? And I ended up getting an own door ground floor apartment, which was pretty much the same as a small cottage. So sometimes you have to take off the blinkers, take a step back, and say, okay, what is it that I really want to have from my house? What do I want to do with my house? Who am I going to be living with? And sometimes if you bring it back, I met another really nice girl, and she was single. She'd been looking for ages. She had a dog, and she was like, what about, I found this apartment and it's nice, but it's in a big complex. What'll I do with it? And I was like, well, the dog may or may not be allowed in the complex, and even if it's allowed this year, the rules may change and he may not be allowed next year. So we had a big chat, and in the end, I think she went for a renovation property. She didn't continue with me, but I just gave her some advice, and she went and got herself a renovation property. And I think she was very, 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 she emailed me afterwards to say she was feeling really, really happy. And it was our chat that helped her get into the right headspace for what was right for her. And so, I offer free consultations. I'm here to help. Obviously, I need to earn an income, but my main goal is to help. It's such a daunting thing to do. For most, it's the biggest investment you ever make in your life. And it's just, as you said, people are doing it without any advocacy. They're doing it without any knowledge, or they're getting conflicting advice. So,
it's a tough time, no doubt. It's a tough time to be trying to buy a property out there. So I think any bit of clarity around the market, around the process, anything we can do to increase the transparency and just make it a little more straightforward, we definitely welcome that. Roisin, how can people find you or get in contact with you?
So the website is www.emeraldstage.ie, or you can email us at info@emeraldstage.ie, or I have a phone number at 083 003 2624.
Super, that's great. Roisin, thank you so much for your time today, and I look forward to seeing how things progress for you. And certainly we'll touch base again in a few months' time maybe, and hear from some of your buyers, hopefully success stories as well at that stage. And very best of luck with the business. Thank you so much. Well, I'm delighted, like I said, to see more buyers representation coming into the marketplace. We should have one in every town in Ireland.
I'm with you. But hopefully one day Emerald Sage will have one.
Fantastic. That's great. So that was Roisin Cahill, CEO of Emerald Sage Property Buying Consultants. And that's all we've time for today. My thanks to Roisin for joining us and for sharing her expertise, and also to producer Carol Tallon and to the production team at Hear Me Roar Media. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe to the podcast and check out some of the other real estate and construction shows on iPropertyRadio. Huge thanks to our show sponsor, Property District, your industry communications partner, for making these conversations possible. And thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next episode of Property Roundup on iPropertyRadio. 3, 2, 1, and we'll stop recording.